Welcome to Cooking with Bae. I'm your host, Lindsay, and today we are making classic burger and fries with a bit of a healthy twist. So let me dive in and tell you what you need to grab at home or at the grocery store. So you will need about a pound of ground meat. I am using ground bison. However, you can use beef, you could use lamb, you could use whatever you want to make your burger with. So we've got the ground meat right there. Then also pickles. I made my homemade pickles. You can find that on my Instagram, but you can also get a jar of pickles too to make it a little bit easier. And this is our squash. You will need butternut squash. About a medium size. This might be a little bit larger, but that's okay. That's all I found. And then you'll use just the longer part. And this is how we are going to make our fries. You'll also need some form of animal fat or a little bit of olive oil. I'm using this super high quality olive oil. I find that the fries just crisp a little bit better with the olive oil. So if you are to use tallow or butter, just a little bit goes a long way there. And then of course, salt. And then we will also need whatever cheese you want to top it with. Been loving Parmesan Reggiano, so this is what I will be using. However, cheddar cheese is a great, simple, classic option. And don't forget to subscribe to my channel and hit the notification bell at the bottom. So let's dive into the prep work. Going to start with the butternut squash. I love fall for these reasons because you just get to implement variety into the kitchen. So I chop off the top of the squash, and what we will be using is the longer end of the butternut squash. So not really the butt end because it's just harder to work and it doesn't really make for fries. So I will peel this now. So you'll peel the skin. There's so many things that you could do with squash, and it yields a lot as well. So I find this a great way, not only to buy in season, it's actually a fruit, but also for whether you're cooking for multiple people, it just yields so much. So let's talk about this actually. Squash, botanically speaking, is actually a fruit. So when in the culinary world though, it's referred to as a vegetable just because you cook it like you would cook it like you would a vegetable. So, however, I do prefer to use my squash instead of like a broccoli. Also, don't forget to start your oven, set it to 425. So then what you'll do is we will chop here. So we're gonna cut off that butt end, and then the smaller you go with the butternut, the easier it will be to cut through. There we go. Ha, ha. Now we have the long side of the squash. So to make it easier to slice into your fries, I will just kind of cut this part in half. And again, you'll probably have a smaller butternut squash, but if you don't, hopefully you have better knives, because I don't. Then I kind of cut it in half again. It's just easier to work with smaller pieces. So if I have this piece, now I'll cut it so, and then I'll start essentially cutting the fries, depending on how you want your fries to look. So now this part, you're just chopping up the fries until it's all gone. So put on some music, maybe get your kids to help you out in the kitchen. So this will be it's almost meditative in ways. All right, so we finished cutting up our butternut squash fries. Now we will take our baking sheet and plop them in here. Let me just twist this around here. And then what you wanna do is just spread them out a little. Well, actually, just dump them in the pan. Sometimes you can maybe put these squash fries in a bowl and toss them, but honestly, they're is less dishes to do when you just put them in here, and then I will drizzle the olive oil and salt on and mix them right in the pan. If you find that your butternut squash is a little bit too moist, go ahead and wrap it in paper towel just to suck up some of that moisture so that you can get a little bit of a crispier fry. Okay, so I'm gonna take my olive oil and I will drizzle it over the squash fries. Now, a little bit goes a long way. That is how they stay a little crispier, so just tiny, tiny bit drizzle. Okay, and then I will sprinkle some salt on. Again, really no crazy measurements here, just something that is to your liking. I am a salty person, so let's go ahead and mix with our hands. Don't be afraid to use these tools, right? Okay, then when you mix it in there, go ahead, and that's when you can sort of separate the squash into a spacious pattern. I mean, there's still a lot of these pieces as squash just yields a good amount, which is great, but instead of just piling them on top of each other, just pat them down, space them out. This, once again, we're reaching for something that is fry-like, so it'll get a little bit crispier this way. Okay, then once the oven is at 425, we're gonna go ahead and take the fries and place it in the oven for 30 minutes, and we'll switch it halfway through. So I like to set my timer to 15 minutes so that I am reminded to come back and flip them because I'll forget. So here's an example of what I did with the leftover squash. I made it into a soup I boiled it with bone broth, and then I put it in a food processor, and so it gives you that soup-like consistency. However, if you wanted it more of a dense, like a mashed potato, then boil it in water, strain it, and then blend it or mash it that way. Okay, while the butternut squash fries are cooking, I will start the burgers. So I'm gonna take your pound of ground meat. I am using bison here. Love some bison, especially if you wanna add some cheese on there. Bison is a little bit of a leaner cut. And so anytime that I'm adding like a cheese or a dairy or anything, I go for a leaner cut because I am adding the fat. Okay, make it to your desired burger liking. Here's maybe a quick tip for you. You put a little bit of a thumbprint in the center of these burgers. That way, when you go to grill them or cook them, they don't blow up into these balls. They give you a nice flatter shape. I like to separate mine into quarter-pound burgers. No really preference there. I used to do it in just one, like half a pound, but I feel like it's more exciting to get 2 burgers. Going to transfer it to a lighter cutting board so I can take it outside for grilling. Okay, ready to go toss them on the grill. I'll be back. Burgers and fries are a typical fast food staple. When fast food comes to mind, I think of instant gratification and a potential disregard for what we're consuming. Perhaps this serves as a reminder that anything truly worthwhile isn't instantaneous, especially when seeking long-term results. Committing to patience is challenging, but the rewards are invaluable. Take a walk and reflect on life's long-term commitments for sustained health and vitality. So after 15 minutes with the squash in the oven, I will pull them out and flip them to the other side. So you can use tongs, or I like to use a spatula and flip them. Really no right or wrong way. They're not the easiest to flip, so do your best. Whoa, flying everywhere. I'm gonna try to get them into a nice spacing like we did before as well. Then you go ahead after they're flipped, put them back in the oven and go ahead and set that timer for another 15 minutes. Burgers are ready and they are juicy. And guess who is following me? This girl. That's right. Chucksy, are you looking up the mess? Okay, the second half of the 15 minutes is up. So what I like to do for the last few minutes is put it on broil on high, because then you start to get that crispy fry-like texture. So I'm gonna put broil high, start that, put it on for 3 minutes and start. I'm actually going to shift it to the top rack. All right, let's see what we got here. French fries, whoop, whoop. Check it out. Cool, those look like the real deal. So I will scoop these fries onto a rack. That way, and you don't necessarily have to have one of these, but it just cools them down and crisps them up a little bit better. So if you have something that resembles this, great. If not, don't sweat it. Maybe you put it on a paper towel, space it out a little bit, have them cool and crisp. Great. Okay, let's start plating. So we add our fries to the plate, and depending on who you're feeding, add to your liking. So then we can add our burgers, however you'd like. Okay, then we'll take our pickles and slice them if you'd like. I like them a little bit more sliced. Now this is optional. I love to add an egg yolk on top because it acts as a dressing, and I love the nutrient density of it too. And then you can gingerly place it on top. So then we take our Parmesan Reggiano and grate it on top, or you can take your cheddar, again, whatever you prefer, but give it a nice. And there you have it, classic burger with a side of fries. So I love making this because obviously it's a great swap for any of the fast food, processed foods, which I haven't had in a long, long time, but you can do this for your family, you can do this with your family, you can prep it with them, and instead of including all of the ingredients that you get from a fast food place, these are very simple ingredients. It's also protein packed. I added that extra egg yolk for a little bit more fat and nutrients in there. And then of course you can include however much of the fries that you want as your side. So if it's someone that is into sports or is super active, go ahead and load it up with these squash fries. They're amazing. So this is also great if you want to prep ahead of time. Over the weekend, you can toss it in the oven and just reheat it and crisp it up, and it still tastes super delicious. So it depends on how you want to use it, but I love this meal. It's great. Also, I have a guest, of course, because this is also dog friendly. Choxy, come on. Yes, you. Okay, come here so we could show your face. Come here. Sit, sit. Good girl. Stay. Hang on, hang. Oh, show your manners. Give me your paw. Give me your paw. Oh, give me your paw. Paw. Okay, now you can eat it. Good job. Awesome. I'm going to enjoy my butternut squash fries. Okay, thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe and hit the notification bell down below, and come back and comment below and tell me what your favorite recipe is. That way I can recreate it, maybe for the next video. Thanks.